What was so great, actually, about Nehemiah leadership? Can it still be applied to our current so-called modern secular leadership? That is my sermon topic. Nehemiah leadership. The passage you have read before. I'm using a new translation, NLT, or New Living Translation. It's not towards the end of the Babylonian exile. Actually, there are three groups of people coming back to Jerusalem. The first group is under Zerubbabel. It's more to do with building up the temple. Then you have Israel, more to do with teaching of the law. Then you have Nehemiah, the last group. His task was to restore, to repair the wall. That giant footprint that you saw. Who was Nehemiah? Nehemiah was just a simple person. He's a cupbearer with the king. So he served in the Persian Empire too. Here in the place called Susa, and of course the group has to travel all the way back to this place called Jerusalem. Okay, children, if you don't know where is Jerusalem, it is very far away. So this place called Jerusalem, you can see that the wall is really like a giant footprint, but all broken all over. So you see, when the wall was broken, the enemies coming. And when the enemies coming, they disturb their worship. They can't even worship at all. So Nehemiah's goal is very simple: to restore, to repair that broken wall. So that, because he has this vision, very simple. When the wall was repaired, then people cannot come in. Enemies cannot come in. Then, of course, they have peace of mind. They can study, they can read, or they can worship, the most important. They were able to worship God. And when they are able to worship, of course, the glorification could ever be amplified in Jerusalem and beyond. Otherwise, there is no way. So Nehemiah knew so important to repair that. He has goal, he has vision. Then, of course, he has to come up with some plans, some strategic plans. And in the process, we saw his leadership. And I only list out these three marks of his leadership. There are more, actually, on this passage alone. We focus on his leadership. 1, prayer life and his work with God. 2, his ability to motivate and mobilize people or leaders or workers. And of course, showing of his leadership by example, and also by how he involved himself or how he served. First, the first mark, Nehemiah, prayer life and work with God. First, we must recognize Nehemiah was a man of prayer. And also, later on, you see, he is also a man of some action. Now, why I say prayer? Because his type of prayer sometimes can be very fervent. In fact, he prayed also even when he was talking to the king. So, for example, this Nehemiah, verse 1 here, intense prayer, I say this. You see how? When he prayed, when he heard the news that the wall was broken, you can imagine, huh? I sat down, Nehemiah sat down. I would cry, I wept. Then for days, not just for minutes or hours, days, he mourned. He also fasted. Then, of course, he just prayed to the God of heaven. So focused and so intense, isn't it? Not only that, he combined prayer with some, I would say, some active steps. Man of prayer and action, I put this. While believing God is, so confident that God is helping them. You see verse 20, that our God will fight for us. So you see verse 4:9. Nehemiah verse 49. Huh? But we pray to our God and guard the city day and night to protect ourselves. What do you see here? Nehemiah already surveyed the wall. So by the time he get down to pray and pray, he already actually what he did, he already put the guards on because he knew where the defect is, where the priority is. Guards. In this case, the guards actually most important. Priority area, put guards there. You see, sometimes that is what the problem with us. We pray, we don't know action. We pray and no action. Sorry, this thing come up, but I think you're right. We often, the problem with us is, we pray, then we go our way. For example, I always believe that when you have new visitors, all will come and talk and pray. But one thing, actually, you need to follow up. Visiting. Can you hear me still? We must follow up with some actions. We go one step further. Visit. Number 2, say a good church, and you are anyway. We pray for the hungry, say in the COVID, in the MCA. You do not just pray. You visit them. You bring them grocery. You bring them food. You follow up with action, just like Nehemiah. Then you can see the difference. The receptive, or the people may become more receptive, not only to your goods, not only to your food, not only to your help, but the gospel. Therefore, a lesson to learn for Nehemiah prayer, we must act sometimes, or as often as we can. Act on it. Not just pray, we act on it. And believe whatever we do, God is working with you. Verse 20. Nehemiah believed, God fight. God will fight for us. God will work with you. God will help you in difficulty. Number 2, second mark, Nehemiah's ability to motivate and to mobilize leaders, the workers, or the people, ordinary disciples. He knew how to invest in people. And that's exactly what we need to do. Invest in people, not building. People. The people joined at his time. They wanted to join the project. Why? Because they saw his goal, his vision, and they saw the need. They did not need to be forced. Hey, you must take attendance. Recently, we organized a disciple. We have to take attendance because we can't motivate people to join. I want 100 people to join. Only 30 people join. So that motivation is becoming very important. Must be effective. And Nehemiah could be able to do it. We can't. How? Number 1, he encouraged. Encouragement. Sometimes you'll be surprised. Just encourage people. Chapter 4, verse 14, it says, when I look over the situation, maybe it's very difficult. Then he called together. Because the people at that time may be already so tired, so demoralized by the threats, by the constant enemy coming into the war and disturb them. They already fed up. So when Nehemiah looked around, he called the people and encouraged them. Don't be afraid. Remember, the Lord who is great and glorious, God who is great and glorious, they will fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes. God will do that. And he encouraged them. Sometimes we leaders or pastors, we are not generous enough with encouragement to the people or to the leaders. Sometimes just a word, simple word will really give them zeal to move on. Number 2, Nehemiah. He strategized, he planned, and he also prioritized. He also knows where are the priority. In the part of repair work, of course, the guard is most important, because if there is no guard, people just go there. No matter how many people go there, it will be destroyed by the enemy. Then after that, no more people already. But put guard. You see how he do it? verse 16 to 18. From then on, this was a passage I read just now to the children even. Only half my men worked, while the other half stood guard with spears, shields, bows, and cords, and all those. And then the leader stood behind. The laborers carry on their work and with one hand supporting the Lord, another holding the weapons. And all the builders, some put on the belt on the side. Not only that, he also told everyone, verse 22, he got people outside from Jerusalem, outside the wall, maybe like we get people from 7 miles, hey, come and help. They all bring them in so that they can join the workforce and also provide guards. You see, Nehemiah knew limited resources, like we all, limited resources, but he knows how to plan and he knows where the priority work is. So he divided up. Basically, here it shows that he divided out, get everyone involved. He divided out the work. Some have to multitask, multitask to do the work. It's hard work, no doubt, but limited resources, he able to do that. The whole idea, I think it just tells us, whatever task, whatever ministry, we need to get everyone on board. Children also, adults, pastors. Oh, we cannot be office, working from office. All must be, you get really all of them. Just like Nehemiah, whoever workers from outside also, come in to help. Motivate and mobilize people, just like Nehemiah did. Children, one more time. Yes, you all also can come together. When you come together, your parents also, wow, good. Oh, children should example. Come together. Let me just give these two illustrations. More of to encourage you. It's not of anything else. I've shared this before, but I think it is worth to do this again. You know, when the TMC, my mother church of the Tabon TMC, when the TMC plant Tabon TMC, I'm from Tabon TMC. We started at Jindao Church, the existing Jindao Church. Just use the facilities. We only have the worship service. We only have Sunday school. We just do that. Then we know that we need to have more ministry. Wow, that is really headache. How to get people involved in ministry? It's most difficult. You also experience that. We also experience that. The thought, wow, give us headache. But to cut the story short, the pastor in my mother church, one day called, Simon, come. Let me convince you, if you want to build a church, you must be able to motivate not only my people, decide, the mother church, you must also get your own people. You must be able to motivate and work together. All must work together. If you don't work together, forget about your new church and starting new ministry. For him, he will mobilize, he will help. And the first thing he did, he gave me a pastor. He said, supposed to be the pastor of the church. The church is very busy. He said, never mind. I give you, this pastor will be in charge of your new church. 95% of the time he will be with you. He just need to attend the Sunday worship service with us. Sure that he is still with with the mother church. Number 2, I get you all the local preacher. I release all the local preacher for you. So we had local preacher with sermon, and we had praise and worship, and other workers come in to help. Well, I would say that is how a leader or leader pastor encourage, motivate, and mobilize the people. That information actually was a turning point for us. The rest was all history already. So one by one, the ministry came up, people developed first, just like Nehemiah, people first. Then with the people first, we will be able to focus on our area. Because our area is here, that one is here. Or TMC, or at the other tip, at the other angle. So we are able to start the ministry, start the work with the community. And with the work community, this one I share you already. What it follow, this is my second illustration, but what it follow, it means the school near to us, just 1/4 mile away. Well, we become good friends. So we are giving them weekly Sunday worship service. And also later on, Bible study, and some other word involved with them. We are unable to mobilize. There are a lot of PM speaking. So we have no people. But then God always will find way for us. We get outside. We ask TMC, the local preacher. We just need 1 or 2 local preacher. And then slowly the praise worker and all those come. And in fact, you see that Dr. Yao is here. We also ask Dr. Yao. So now everyone come and help us. He give the Gideon New Testament. Each one has got 1 copy, 200 over copy. Each one has. In fact, now when I went, many of them bring along that New Testament together with them. We need all people. Maybe one day I will ask Pastor Vincent. He speaks BM well. Come and join with us. Sometimes we need outside. Just like Nehemiah. He not only need the people in Jerusalem itself within the wall. He need people from outside to come and help. Same, we also ask people to come and help. You also can. These are ways that God, I would say, probably God would like to. All that He wants is to see the worship on. Number 3, apart from those 2 I mentioned, His prayer, His marks of leadership, His ability to motivate, His ability to encourage, to bring people together to complete a task. Third one is, this is nothing new. All leaders will know that, you have to be an example by yourself, and you have to work hard. There is no way, you give order from the office and you are not on the field. The leaders or pastor has to be in the field. Hands on. You see Nehemiah 4:16. The leaders stationed themselves behind the people of Judah. Why? CC earlier. No. The mind is alert. They want to see where are the problems, where are the setbacks, and they want to rectify if something happened there. And then verse 21, we work early and late from sunrise to sunset. Wow, it's a full-time, more than a full-time job. That will be about 12 hours. We only allowed to work 7 hours. It's just an illustration to tell. And they work so hard until during this time, none of us, not I, nor my relatives, what did he say? Nor my servants, nor the guards who were with me ever took off our clothes. Can you imagine? And they carry the weapon all the time. Because they know the priority. They must, sure, if enemy coming, they carry something, they'll be scared also, right? Leaders standing behind, watching out for problems, trying to solve the problems. So, what happened in this type of setting? Very simple. Nehemiah go, the broken wall was built, was repaired. Just like the bicycle should be repaired, right? And done within 52 days. Children, if you work together and repair the bicycle, maybe just 1 day also can finish. So on October 2, if this new NLT not even give the date, the wall was finished just 52 days after they had begun. 52 days. And what happened? Then in Nehemiah 9:3, the people now, once the wall was repaired, the people can have undisturbed worship. Just like now, things done, Living Hope can have undisturbed worship service. Because you repair whatever broken door or window down there. What happened, you see? Something very interesting I saw when I read this. Chapter 9, verse 3. The people, this is after the wall repair. They remain standing. Just now I stand 10 minutes I also cannot because my knee problem. For 3 hours while the book of law of the Lord their God was read aloud to them. No chair at all. Then for 3 more hours, they confess their sins, they worship the Lord their God. Wow, no joke. But I think at the end of the day, the task of leaders, or workers, or just people in the church, like their time, the whole purpose is to ensure you have worship. You are really, or we are really worshiping a true God undisturbed. In Living Hope or in wherever church. And to bring the gospel to the people within and without the church. If there are really limitations or limited resources, well, I would say, well, nothing wrong to get people out to help. So that the brokenness, so that the walls can be repaired. And the worship and the gospel will continue. In conclusion, what have we learned from this leadership, from this passage? About the broken walls, about restoring, about repair children. Can you remember? Now I summarize again. For adults now. To develop any ministry or even a church, Nehemiah's mark of leadership, just based on this passage, I think is worth emulating. Very often when we discuss about this, we are sidetracked by the war. Wow, only thinking up now, your mind only on what? Actually, the mind is on Nehemiah, his leadership. One, man of prayer, we should follow. And he walked with God. We must trust our God and will help us. Two, motivate and mobilize, or see where the priority is. Work together. And this is particularly crucial, and sure leadership, of course, by example, we all were doing that. And work hard, all were working hard. But I still think that number two, motivate and mobilize. I think it is crucial for any ministry or for any work. We should be able to come all together. For me, I know that I fail, especially in the English district. I am unable to mobilize and motivate the people to build a stronger English district. So it's not that we should try. Or I know you will say, difficult, but we all should try. Or there are some success stories, some non-success story. But I think the idea is get all together. Don't work solo. Together, children, adults, parents, pastor, leaders, students should all work together, and that is crucial. If we don't get people together, as I said, difficult. Number two, firmly believe, children, firmly believe you can repair the bicycle because God is helping you. Your leaders are helping you. Your parents are helping you. God will fight for us. God will give you knowledge. God will guide the way. God will give you jalan to do it. God will fight for us. Verse 20, chapter 4. Third one. Our leadership. What is our leadership? What is our discipleship? What is it? It must lead to discipleship, worship, and of course, gospel. Bring gospel to your community. Bring salvation to the community. As we worship, the church is worshiping. Its church may not necessarily become very, no. The aim is to glorify God, glorify Christ, glorify. That's why I try not to use glorify church. It's I think wrong theology. It's glorify Jesus, glorify God. We are just workers. We are His children. The church job is to glorify God within, not only among ourselves, but within the community. Just like Nehemiah, the wall was repaired, able to worship, enter the whole area, Jerusalem and outside, glorify. God, glorification, restored. Well, whatever leadership, at the end, I think it should lead to this. The community and us. I would say it is okay to remain. Well, to remain preaching center is okay. Many days. Many other churches also do that. But I can see so many people of you, compared to the time is MCO, of course. Slowly build up. One day, there will be a bigger breakthrough. So long we remain faithful. So long you work hard. So long you pray. So long you trust God will be working with you, will help you. And so long, us ourselves as leaders and disciples, are we working? Are we showing good example? Are we working hard? And important thing, are we working together as a team? Remain united. Remain united. Just like Nehemiah, remain united with the people. 52 days, the wall was repaired. So let us continue to move on. Despite difficulty in this area, just like Nehemiah, you can imagine when they return, completely all wild country like that. The walls are broken, enemies. People don't worship. Don't be distressed. Move on. Move on. Move on. Because God is in the midst of us. God will frustrate whatever. Just like Nehemiah, God frustrate the enemies. God was frustrate all the negative attitude or negative things about us. We move on. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Simon, for bringing to us leadership of Nehemiah.